The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas reports that the average inflation rate for the third quarter of 2018 has surged to 6.2%. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
The average inflation, or the rate of price increases for basic goods and services, has accelerated to 6.2% in the third quarter of 2018. Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas says this is the highest this year following the 4.8% recorded in the second quarter. BSP points to high food prices triggered by recent calamities as well as the continuous swelling of global oil prices as the primary drivers of the average inflation. One-third of this rate was also due to ballooning prices of rice, fish, meat, and vegetables.
In the Philippines, inflation in the third quarter continued to be driven mainly by supply-side factors as reflected in the uptick in food and energy prices, while demand-side pressures became more apparent.
The third quarter average brings the year-to-date average inflation to 5%, above the high-end target range of the government, which is 2 to 4% inflation rate, but still within the revised target inflation rate of 4.8 to 5.2% for 2018. The government expects the inflation rate will begin to taper off in the last quarter.
In our assessment that we released in September, the peak inflation happens during the third quarter of the year, and we expect inflation to begin moderating.
The Duterte administration also expects the immediate passage of rice tariffication bill to help bring down the prices of rice in the market. The government has earlier ordered to intensify the importation of agricultural products to solve the problem on food supply. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue.
The National Economic and Development Authority warns that the recently approved increase in the minimum fare of public buses and jeepneys might cause a huge impact on the country's inflation rate. Malacanang meanwhile calls on the riding public to do more belt-tightening measures. Joan Nano tells us why.
The Philippines' inflation rate has skyrocketed to 6.7% in the month of September and to a staggering 6.2% mark for the third quarter of 2018. The approved fare hike on buses and public utility jeepneys is already set on the first week of November. The National Economic and Development Authority warns that the fare increase might cause a further rise in prices of basic goods and services. NEDA, however, could not say just how big the impact of the fare hikes would be on the inflation.
Anything that increases costs of service, well, we'll have to find out what the quantitative effect will be. We'll see. We'll see how much, by how much.
According to Secretary Pernia, the original proposal was only a 50 centavo increase in minimum fare to the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB. NEDA Undersecretary Rosemary Edilon in her letter to the LTFRB explained that the fare hike's inflationary impact will however result in higher inflation in 2019. The NEDA forecast an estimated increase of 0.221% point to the country's annual inflation next year. But LTFRB Chairman Martin Dalgar believes otherwise and argued that the fare hike will only cause a slight impact on the country's inflation.
We had been calculating enough na kahit na dito sa dagdag piso na binigay natin, hindi masyado makaka-apekto doon sa inflation rate.
Amid the issue, Malacanang through presidential spokesperson and presidential legal advisor Salvador Panelo calls on the riding public to do some belt-tightening measures because the government's actions are limited by the uncontrollable movement of oil prices in the world market. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
After a series of price hikes, retail prices of oil products are expected to roll back in the coming week. Oil industry players says the price of gasoline might decrease by nearly 2 pesos per liter and diesel may roll back by 1 peso per liter. The expected adjustment in domestic prices of fuel products is due to the result of this week's 4-day trading in the world market. Meanwhile, the Department of Public Works and Highways is hoping to open the North Luzon Expressway Harbor Link Segment 10 before the end of this year's December. The Metro Pacific Tollways Corporation, meanwhile, is proposing a 6 peso increase in a toll once the said portion of the road is opened. John Nano tells us why.
The Department of Public Works and Highways is speeding up the construction of the North Luzon Expressway Harbor Link Segment 10 and is hoping to open the said portion of the road before the year ends. Secretary Mark Villar says the agency finally resolved the long-standing issue on road right-of-way that hampered the project for some time. Affected residents have already been given the appropriate compensation, while some of them were relocated to other areas of Bulacan and nearby provinces. According to DPWH, the construction is currently 83% finished. The NLEX Harbor Link Segment 10 is an elevated expressway that interconnects the cities of Valenzuela, Malabon, Caloocan, and Navotas exiting NLEX. The said infrastructure will mainly benefit truckers from Manila Port area that deliver goods to the central and northern parts of Luzon. It is also expected to further ease traffic congestion in Metro Manila.
Ano pong impact ng Harbor Link project? 30,000 cars a day minimum ang dadaan po sa Harbor Link. Lahat po ng trucks na galing po sa port, hindi na kailangan dumaan sa metro area. Dediretso na po sa NLEX. Malaking bagay sa traffic, itong project.
Estimates that travel time from Metro Manila to NLEX will soon take up to 15 minutes only once the Harbor Link Segment 10 is completed, a big convenience to motorists, especially in the coming holiday season. Meanwhile, the Metro Pacific Tollways Corporation is proposing a 6 peso increase in toll once the NLEX Harbor Link Segment 10 is open.
Meron tayong binabayaran toll sa tinatawag nating open system. Yun yung section from Balintawak to Bukawi. Ang magiging adjustment dito, that initial toll na babayaran, magdadagdag tayo ng 6 pesos.
This proposal, according to MPTC, is still subject to review by the Toll Regulatory Board. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Valenzuela City.
The Philippine National Police will step up its effort against vote buying in the 2019 midterm elections, as well as the rebels' possible extortion activities from local politicians. Leia Ilagan explains why.
The Philippine National Police plans to further increase police visibility in areas with history of vote buying to thwart any effort to mar the integrity of the upcoming midterm elections. PNP Director General Oscar Albayalde believes that by increasing police deployment, they will be able to catch persons in the act of committing vote buying. According to the Omnibus Election Code, vote buying or vote selling is an act where an individual gives offers or promises money or anything of value to induce anyone to vote for or against any candidate or withhold his vote in the election. Vote buying is punishable with 1 to 6 years of imprisonment, and any person found guilty of the crime will be disqualified from holding public office and deprived of the right to vote. The PNP chief warns to file charges against person who will be caught in the act of committing the said offense. Albayalde also urges the public as well as the candidates themselves not to engage in vote buying.
We are cautioning our people na huwag silang magpagamit sa mga ganito. Kasi may magsusumbong, may vote buying daw dito para bantayan yung kabilang grupo. Pag binantayan mo yung kabilang grupo, sila naman ang magbo-vote buying naman. So, nagagamit yung ating kapulisan dito.
Aside from maintaining peace and order during elections, the PNP will also closely monitor the extortion activities of the New People's Army. The communist rebels have been known to collect money, food, and sometimes weapons from local politicians in exchange of a permit to campaign in NPA-infested areas during election period.
Sa ngayon, wala pa tayong namomonitor na ganyan. Sa ngayon, wala pa. Especially dun sa previous years kasi previous elections, namomonitor natin yung mga ibang candidates na nagbibigay and they are being cautioned by the PNP and the AFP.
Leia Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
This coming 2019 elections, what will be the more effective way to campaign? The traditional way or through social media? Monokson has the special report.
A number of printing press dots the Molavi Street in Barangay Duyan-Duyan in Quezon City. Though we are now in the digital age, printing businesses here continue to thrive, especially during election period, when politicians want to produce more copies of their campaign posters. Printing press owner Joe Credo believes the industry will never become obsolete despite changes that technology and social media have brought in various fields, including politics. In fact, Credo's shop has received printing orders from 2 politicians who wants to campaign in the traditional way, 7 months prior to the polls.
Medyo ngayon naghihintay pa eh. Malalakas din siguro pag malapit na.
According to the Department of Information and Communications Technology, there are 34 million smartphone users in the Philippines, and this is expected to increase to 38 million come 2019. This population can access the internet and social media. However, not all of them are registered voters. Based on data from the Commission on Elections, 61 million Filipinos have registered to vote in the 2019 midterm elections. 20 million of this number are youths, while the remaining numbers are belonging to the middle age and senior citizens bracket. But the question is, which is more effective in election campaigning? The traditional method that uses campaign posters and TV ads, or forming a brigade on social media to enhance election campaigning? Some people believed that President Duterte won in the 2016 elections because of his supporters in social media. Among them is blogger and former Presidential Communications Assistant Secretary Mocha Uson. Uson has over 5 million followers on Facebook, who watches every video she posts. Other bloggers who also support Duterte have racked up followers. Experts say social media can help a political hopeful if they are backed by users who amass a huge following on social media. But if none, they can use paid ads in digital platforms instead.
For me, dalawa yung ways to take advantage sa sitwasyon ng social media. First, of course, yung paid ads. As low as 50 pesos per day, you can already run Facebook ads. So, if you're a politician, pwede kang mag-spend minimum 50 pesos a day. But of course, alam naman natin mas malaki din yung playing budget nila. So, you just spend certain amount and you matatarget mo kung ano yung city, anong district. You can choose a location talaga. Sino yung mga gustong matarget, anong age. Like, you can choose that easily.
Of the 5 candidates who ran for president in 2016 polls, Duterte ranked second among those who have lower campaign expenditures. Jejo Marbinay, Grace Poe, and Ma Rojas spent large sum of money, while the late Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago did not spend any. For a social media strategist, the 2016 presidential elections have proven that money is not the key in winning the polls.
So social media really played a big part ng elections, and not just sa Philippines, pati sa US. We also saw President Trump, parang same success, with social media. So sa marketing kasi meron tayong tinatawag na sinasabi best marketing strategy, which is word of mouth, di ba? Kahit classic yan, dati pa sa word of mouth marketing. And for me, ngayon, social media is really word of mouth marketing on steroids. Amplified lahat ng ginagawa mo. So yung kina President Duterte, kitang-kita natin before, na grabe yung support sa kanya on social media. Na kahit siguro may panahon na pag magbuon ka ng ano mo, lahat na makikita mo sa feed, Duterte post, Duterte post. And it's because people are really vouching and supporting.
So which is more effective in election campaigning? Traditional or through social media? Experts say politicians should use both.
But how about the people na gusto mong ma-reach at ikwento ka sa iba? Kasi ikukwento ka sa iba pag sa social media ka eh. Pag ako na gusto ko yung platform mo, natuwa ako sa'yo, nakita ko sa Facebook, I will share it to others. Pag yung sa pinakadulo-dulo ng province na wala Facebook, kanino ikukwento? Sa kapitbahay lang niya, dalawa lang, di ba? Eh ako kung 5,000 yung friends ko, di ba? And then ikaw 5,000, tas siya 5,000, di ba? Sobrang grabe yung mass effect na nangyayari. Kaya keep doing what you're doing sa traditional, but also mag-pull out ka ng budget dyan. Invest it on social media, at least on Facebook.
But whether campaigning in traditional means or not, the fact remains that politicians need to reach people to convince them to vote in their favor. Voters, on the other hand, should be wise in using their power and right to choose leaders who will help shape up the nation. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue.
Defending champion Senate Defenders look to extend its winning streak when it battles the struggling PNP responders on a Sunday. PITC and Judiciary, meanwhile, hope to barge into the win column when they clash with their respective opponents. Bernard Dadis tells us why.
Season 6 defending champions Senate Defenders are looking to prolong their Group A lead when they face off with struggling PNP responders on Sunday's main game, 5 p.m. at the Pasig City Sports Center. The Senate is aiming to extend its winning streak to 4 games, while the PNP is hoping to quench its thirst for more victory after winning only 1 of its 3 recent games.
Laging todo laro ng PNP. Matalo manalo, laging talagang kailangan maglaro na maayos.
Yung team na yun, fighter rin. So kailangan magawa namin ng solusyon yung game na yan. And then we need to review their game. And then tignan namin kung sino yung mga key players na kailangan namin, especially umiping. Pero other than umiping, may mga players naman yan na capable din makascore.
Rookie PITC Global Traders, meanwhile, are hoping to barge into the win column as they take on the GSIS Furies in the first game of the triple-header, UNTV Cup Season 7 first round eliminations. The PITC has suffered 3 consecutive defeats, while the GSIS has 1-2 win-loss record under its belt. Two-time champion Judiciary Magis are also aiming to clinch a win to climb up from the bottom standings when they tackle the Department of Agriculture Foodmasters on Sunday at 3 p.m. But DA coach Saldi Realubit says his players have prepared for the clash to bounce back from the recent loss against the NHA Builders.
Pag di kami nakakadepensa, hindi kami nakakashoot. So, kailangan namin magtrabaho. Alam ko sa mga players namin na babawi kami. So, balik kami sa practice, pag-usapan namin yung mga mali namin at ano pang dapat ba namin i-improve.
On the sidelines of the games, the UNTV Action Center continues to provide public services in partnership with several government agencies, including Pag-ibig Fund, PhilHealth, and PNP. Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
President Rodrigo Duterte has yet to decide on whether or not to extend the imposition of martial law in Mindanao, which is set to end on December 31. However, presidential spokesperson and chief legal advisor Salvador Panelo believes that another extension of martial law remains highly necessary. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte is still awaiting the recommendation from the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police on whether or not to extend the imposition of martial law in Mindanao. It can be recalled that Congress allowed the extension of martial law in the region until December 31, 2018, upon the request of the Duterte administration in order to eradicate Islamic State-inspired terror groups that sparked the Marawi siege. According to presidential spokesperson and chief legal advisor Salvador Panelo, the president still gives utmost consideration to the information that the military provides, as the soldiers are the ones monitoring the actual security situation on ground. However, Panelo believes that another extension of martial law remains highly necessary to ensure the safety of the majority of citizens in all parts of the country.
As I said, if it is helping the population is not even opposing it. So, to my mind, there is a need to extend it. But as according to the President, that will depend on the advice, the recommendation of the military, because they are the ones on the ground.
Meanwhile, Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana said in a statement that they are still assessing the situation in Mindanao through consultations with members of the community, local government units, the business sector, and civil society groups. Lorenzana assured that a recommendation will be made in the next 2 months before the year ends. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Philippine National Police confers posthumous recognition on 3 policemen who were killed in an ambush in Lupi, Camarines Sur. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde, meanwhile, eyes retraining cops on the process of intelligence gathering. Victor Cosare tells us why.
3 police officers who were killed in an ambush in Lupi, Camarines Sur on Thursday were given posthumous promotion in a ceremony led by Philippine National Police Director General Oscar Albayalde. The recognition was conferred to SPO1 Percival Rafael, PO3 Carlito Navarrosa, and PO1 Ralph Jason Vida.
The whole Philippine National Police, kami po'y nakikiramay sa mga pamilya ng nabiktima. And we want to assure the family that we will give justice to the victim.
Albayalde later visited a hospital in Naga City where the policemen who were wounded in the attack are recuperating. The PNP chief also assured to extend financial assistance to the victims of the shooting. Albayalde admits that failure in intel played a role in the deadly ambush which took place at a critical area in Lupi town. In line with this, the PNP chief is eyeing to order his men to undergo retraining on the basics of intelligence gathering to prevent similar incidents.
Will to fight ng ating mga kapulisan, kailangan natin yung skills ng mga yung instinct ng ating mga pulis. So marami pa po tayong nakikita rito at yung manner of investigation. These mga incidents hindi na po natin hindi na mangyayari itong similar na incident na ganito.
Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Philippine and Chinese officials meet for the 3rd time on Thursday to discuss the South China Sea issue in Beijing. Participating in the meeting of the Philippine-China Bilateral Consultation Mechanism on the South China Sea were representatives from sectors such as national defense, natural resources and environmental protection, fisheries, energy and coast guards of 2 countries. One of the key issues discussed is the pragmatic cooperation on the sea, including the joint exploration for offshore oil and gas. The 2 sides also exchanged views on the current situation in the South China Sea region as well as each other's concerns.
The 2 sides have discussed how to manage differences and promote pragmatic maritime cooperation and how to enhance mutual understanding and trust. We are willing to work with the Philippines and take further steps to manage well the situation on the seas and bring the cooperation up to a new level so as to create the proper atmosphere and conditions for some major diplomatic agendas between China and the Philippines scheduled for the end of this year.
China and the Philippines established the mechanism early in 2017, choosing to settle maritime issues through negotiation. According to the Department of Foreign Affairs, the Philippines has been positively implementing the Declaration on the Conduct of Parties in the South China Sea and is willing to play a constructive role as a coordinator of the ASEAN-China relations in finalizing the Code of Conduct in the South China Sea. The Boracay Interagency Task Force has officially released the guidelines for Boracay Island. The task force also clarified that the carrying capacity will not hinder those planning to have their vacation in Boracay. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
In preparation for the reopening of Boracay on October 26, the Boracay Interagency Task Force released a list of do's and don'ts for tourists and residents to follow inside the island. Though the list is not yet final, it is already being implemented in the island. Partying is now allowed by the task force but is limited only inside establishments and not on the beachfront to avoid inconvenience to other tourists. Guidelines regulating water sports like jet skiing and scuba diving will also be implemented to protect the corals and other marine life in the waters surrounding the island. It is also prohibited to throw garbage indiscriminately, as well as erecting structures, souvenir shops, and food stalls on the beachfront. Smoking, drinking liquor, and even bringing pets along the beach area are also banned. Urinating and defecating along the beach and other public areas is also prohibited.
They can go inside the restaurant and a matter of cooperation lang, and kung ano yung kung magkaroon din ng pay na toilet, meron namang available na yun. Di mo wala sa pay toilet, pwede rin yun ganon.
DENR USIC Benny Antiporda clarified that roasting meat and roasting lechon is not prohibited in Boracay, contradicting some news released by the media. Antiporda said the do's and don'ts that appeared on reports a few days ago was not official and have not come from the task force. Meanwhile, the released carrying capacity of Boracay will not hinder those who are planning to visit the island. According to Antiporda, even tourists who have no booking reservations prior to going to Boracay may also enter the island.
Based on the previous years, mas malaki pa rin po yung 6,405 na yan. Hindi po nabe-break yan. Nabe-break lang po yan every February, April, and May. Dahil ito po yung tunay na peak season po rito. May listahan tayo doon sa jetty port. Pagdating nyo, pipili lang kayo roon at magkakaroon na kayo ng hotel.
According to the official, the task force is only preventing the resurgence of commissioners or free agents that cause inconvenience to tourists taking a rest or walking along the beachfront. USIC Antiporda also said that these guidelines released by the task force is a work in progress. This means some conditions may be added or changed depending on the situation and its effect not only on the environment but also on the welfare of residents, workers, and tourists in Boracay. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, Boracay.
President Rodrigo Duterte lashes back at his critics who are questioning his state of health and linking the skin discoloration on his face to a more serious medical condition. Here's why from Rosalie Cos.
President Rodrigo Duterte explained the reason behind the skin discoloration on his face, which critics like Communist leader Joe Masison has been linking to a serious medical condition. During a speech at the 44th Philippine Business Conference and Expo in Manila on Thursday, Duterte said that the darkening of his skin was a result of sunburn from prolonged exposure to the heat of the sun during a visit in Jordan and from a series of visits to military camps across the country.
Pumunta ako ng Jordan, sunog na ito. Pumupunta ako ng kampo every week. Kampo sa bukid. Pinakamanalagang kampo, lumilipad ako doon.
The condition of his skin worsened, according to the president, when he tried the whitening cream used by his longtime partner Hanilet Avancenia.
Kasi yung ginamit ko kasi, yung sa asawa ko, cream lang yan. Yung asawa ko, si Sido, may 1, 2, 3, 4. Ngayon ako nakakita ng medisina na parang rocket, parang booster. Okay na, yung sa asawa mo okay na. Tingin ko, bakit nangitim ako lalo?
The president admitted consulting a dermatologist about his skin condition who advised him to use only specific skincare products.
Sabi niya, ito lang ang gamitin mo, itong panggaron, pati ito lang. Yan lang, yung iba, huwag mo nang gamitin. Mas lalo kang iitim.
The president also lashed back at critics who are questioning his health condition due to his skin discoloration.
Para sa akin, ang lalaki is not really the color of your skin and the face. It's your character.
Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Talented Alarcon brothers share positivity through Under Pressure exhibit. Leslie Longbowen tells us why.
Brothers Ejem, Aldrin, Didier, and UNTV KNC show host Luke Moonlight Alarcon are holding a group show for the second time. The exhibit, dubbed as Under Pressure, aims to show positivity in the midst of stress.
Yung konsepto na exhibit namin na i-release mo yung pressure mo, parang ganun. Ito yung resulta po ng pressure namin.
Pag na-under pressure ka, mas parang pag na-pressure ka, parang dapat doon lumabas yung creativeness mo, yung mas ikaw, yung lahat ng paraan, strategy.
The show features a total of 13 artworks, but one painting showed the collaborative ideas of the 4 talented brothers.
Yung nirepresent namin siya as mga magulang na pag may kailangan ka, parang pwede kang lumapit sa kanila, kumuha ng mga gusto mong kunin.
The Under Pressure exhibit runs until October 21 at the Art Gallery in Barangay Piñahan, Quezon City. Leslie Longboban, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The artworks of 3 Filipino contemporary artists that depict different themes about life and family are featured in an open art exhibit mounted in Montreuil, Paris. June Garin tells us why.
The exhibit open house of the workshops of the artists in Montreuil, now on its 20th year, included 3 Filipino artists who have shared their own stories through paint and forms of sculptures. Artists Don de la Paz, Francis Eric Di Maruput, and Nyor Salonga were the Filipinos who had their artworks featured in the exhibit mounted in the contemporary art scene of Montreuil, an east suburb of Paris, France, for the first time. Di Maruput's artwork titled Stitched Memory depicts a thread full of longanisa which takes inspiration from his father's efforts in sustaining the family's business of selling longanisa that has now become popular in Paniki, Tarlac.
Itong pyesa ko na to, tribute ko sa daddy ko. At halos lahat ng object dito may kinalaman tungkol sa daddy ko. Isa sa best na longganisa maker sa atin sa Tarlac.
Salonga, meanwhile, takes inspiration of his works in the nostalgic memories of his youth, valuable experiences, and how the past connects with the future.
Alam nyo naman na bawat obra may iba-iba inspiration yan, di ba? Buhay nating lahat, no? Yung life in general, na meron tayong ups and downs.
De La Paz's artworks, on the other hand, depict sacrifices to achieve that success he is yearning. His visual arts drew inspiration from the hardships he experienced while growing up.
Kapos yung buhay namin noon, kaya yun yung naging challenge ko ngayon na na-inspired ako na sabi ko kahit siguro hindi man ako nakapag-aral ng fine arts, kaya ko. Yung hindi ko na gawa nung bata pa ako, gagawin ko ngayon.
The trio are grateful for the opportunity to grace the French contemporary art scene to illustrate their interests, memories, and messages of love, Filipino virtues, and the importance of family into bursts of colors. The art exhibit opened from October 12 to 15, 2018. June Garin, UNTV News and Rescue, Paris, France.
And those are the reasons behind the stories in the second part of our newscast. Y News returns with William Thio. I'm Angelo Castro III. Good evening.